Welcome, Denise, to the Root of Our Health. It is such a pleasure to have you on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I love chatting with you. We have a great conversation. I can't wait to get started today.
Yes, yes, we did. So I'm glad that we're gonna, kind of piggyback on that conversation. So let's get started. So, want to let our audience know who you are, a little bit about your background, your story. Let us know that.
Sure. So I am a retired elementary school principal. I retired back in 2018, and I am a wife. 34 years. We just celebrated earlier August, our 34th year together, which has been phenomenal. And we have three adult children. And one of our eldest children, her and her husband live about 5 to 10 minutes away from us, and they have three beautiful children, two boys and a girl. And our little granddaughter is just 2 months old. I can't believe
Wow.
it. Seems goes so fast, but
Yeah.
anyway. So when mom is not on maternity leave, we support them and look after the littles during the day as they work. Our middle daughter lives in Montreal, so she is a 9 hour drive away, and our youngest son lives out in Vancouver, so it's a 5 hour flight. So we have a spread. Everybody's doing what they want to do in life and experiencing and figuring things out as they go. When I retired, I knew that there was more for me. I just have that some of your audience might be understanding when I say they've got a little tingling inside their body, but they don't know what that means or what to do with it. And so I invite them just to begin to explore it a little more, like I did. And that's how I ended up being an empowerment life coach for women, moms in midlife years. So I knew that I could support. I had through my work as a principal and in education for 31 years. I learned a really interesting technique, which is listening. And people go, "Oh, I listen all the time." But there is a lot around listening and understanding through what you are hearing as well as what you are seeing in a conversation. And so I have a gift to be able to take that information, land on new areas of understanding, and support women to move forward in life when they've got that I'm stuck. The kids are gone. Now what do I do? All I ever did in my whole career, besides my work and my family, was sleep and
Mhm.
eat, right?
Yeah.
So understanding who we are as individuals is the thrust that I do in the way that I support people.
Wonderful, wonderful, and I love the message. It's never too late, right? It's never too late to you can either veer off a path or find a path within your path. You know what I'm saying?
For
Like when you're in a
sure.
career, and I kind of, did the same thing a little bit. I'm not retired, obviously, but within my career, I was like, this isn't what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a little bit, I need something more. I need something that's bigger than me. I need something to contribute a little bit more. So understanding that and understanding what makes you tick as a woman, or what makes you tick as a woman over 40. Like, let me use these skills. Let me use these things to, you know, either better the community, better my life and grow. And so I love your message. And when, you didn't again just sit there and say, okay, well, I'm retired and this is all that's happening. A lot of women and a lot of people tend to do that.
Yep.
So taking that on, and also kind of, you're getting back into not just the teaching, but yes, you are teaching in a sense, such an education, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure the women, your clients, the women that you're helping and inspiring, are you're getting that good feeling because that's something that I get when I do coaching as well. So kudos and
It's
to understand your path, right?
exactly. And I love what you're saying. I find that um, getting curious instead of fighting the fear is a
Yeah.
huge shift in terms of like what is possible, asking bigger questions. instead of saying, oh, I couldn't do that. Oh, I couldn't do that. We don't even know what we are capable of until we start to understand ourselves in a brand new way. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Yes. It's again, I love that curiosity, right? Keep asking the question because,
Yeah.
again, you never know. And fear is a good thing sometimes. Fear can propel us to, well, it's your choice, right? It's your choice. You can either cave in the essence of fear, or you can take fear head on and say, you know what? I'm going to push through this. I'm going to see what I'm capable of. So
Absolutely.
absolutely love the message. I'm getting, goosebumps just, right off the bat here. So but let's transition because I see that you're, and you correct me if I'm wrong, are you like a parenting coach? Is that kind of what you're, or no,
Oh,
is that
oh my goodness, it's such a great question. Because it can have a component of parenting, but it's not just about parenting.
okay?
Ultimately, the coaching that I'm doing is helping women and moms understand who they are. And by understanding themselves in a different way, at a different level, at a different capacity, they start making changes within themselves. And consequently, those changes begin to change those around them without them creating the script for it. Right.
Yes, yes.
So I do have parenting conversations. Absolutely. I am a parenting coach in another community called Clutter Boss Academy with Jess Marcy. So I get a lot of questions around parenting, but it ends up, quite frankly, a lot of what I nail is how to communicate, how to understand your emotions, how to understand triggers of yours and others, invisible stressors, understanding those, the ideas around boundaries. What does that look like, sound like, feel like? Why are they there? And I take a totally different slant around those pieces so that I open up new ways of thinking and planting seeds.
Yeah,
I'm a seed planter, right?
yeah,
Food for thought. What would that look like in another way? How else could we? That's one way. How else could we, right? Understand the conversation differently. Yeah.
yes, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that because it is yeah, kind of iffy, like, okay, what is this? But I understand it's being mindful of, and I'm sure that you use like motivational interviewing, you kind of ask those questions, you get it. And it's interesting that we have it in us, right? But it takes those questions, those, like you said, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. I don't know if you get this, but women definitely, they're like, that's easy. Like that was so easy. Like that was an easy, you know, thing that I came up with. And it's usually the easiest answer or the easiest solution that is hidden. And
Yeah.
so when they see that it's easy like that, I'm sure that it gives them a little bit more confidence to kind of, get through or, get over those challenges, correct?
It's a great way to put it. And what I do find is the questions are the catalysts, and they're not questions that we ask ourselves. I can't tell you how many self-development books I've read,
Mhm.
and all have been super powerful, but it's external until I start doing, and I talk a lot about tiny steps,
Mhm.
right? And everybody is so different. Some people are all about the goals, and when they set that goal, all they want to know the how. I don't give the how. I give the support. I give the safety to be able to have tough conversations that, as even I find I have conversations with people, and mid conversation, I just love this. Mid conversation, it's like, oh, I get it, right? It's
Yeah,
just
aha
like
moment.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like when, and it's very much the strategy I used to use in the education world. I would throw questions. It wasn't open brain, insert information, close it up. My role was to push through curiosity, understand where they were, and build step ladders to conquer certain areas of which people are struggling in. And that's basically what I do, right?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. So that's, I mean, obviously, I am sure there's a lot of, in your sessions, there's a lot of kind of getting to the root, right? I like using that just getting to the root, right? And I'm sure, the ups and downs. So what are the challenges that you face in your sessions with these women? And if you, I don't know, do you have any like kids involved as well, or is it just the women? Yeah.
That's a great questions. Great questions. I never shut a door on potential of how it's going to work for a client. I never shut the door. If it makes sense to have family unit involved in the conversation,
Mm.
then that's what I do whatever makes sense. And again, I'm meeting them where they're at, right? A lot of times when it gets more complex, that's when we get deeper, right? So you talk about getting to the root. We get to the root very quickly, very quickly. Like when I do my one-on-ones, we have an hour and a half conversation with, I have like a bunch of questions, and I have never to this day had somebody go, well, you know what? I didn't learn anything new. Every time they're like, oh, wow, I don't know. I've never, and I have people who, and I want them to continue to work with counselors, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists. I never expect anybody to change that support. I just add a different angle, and I am very much about actionable steps that make sense for where they are right now. So I don't have a scripted, for the one-on-ones, I do not have a scripted program other than hour and a half. Let's get to the root, not to the root, but let's get some things uncovered here through the questions. And that's where we glean the goals that we're going to create and how we're going to start shifting. I had another person ask me, how long does it take for these shifts to happen? And I was like, well, for some, it's one session, shifts
Yeah.
start happening, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it depends on the individual and what they bring to
Totally.
the table too, right? If they're opening up, if they're kind of uh okay with the change, a lot of us aren't, don't like change.
Yeah.
So when they feel vulnerable, I'm sure that some of them kind of shut down or close off, or and then others kind of like open book, I'm here, I'm ready to change. And it's the stage. But yeah, I can definitely see to where it's just up to that individual. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting that you say that too, because what I do find when we get into the conversation, there's stuff that can even be uncovered that they haven't even discovered before, right? As part of that process. What I don't do is I don't go back and try and not fix the past, but I don't spend time. I spend time now
Yeah.
and what we are going to do today and forward, right? Yes, some of that information is important, but we don't dig in and fix it, understand it, right? Do all that. It's just, okay, so from that learning, what will we do now, right? Yeah,
Right, right. And I
yeah.
think, for the past, I think that's more of a therapist,
Abs-
or psychologist or whatnot. That's their turf. Yes, as coaches, I believe we, again, like you said, meet them where
yeah.
they're at. Yes, you had therapy, going through whatever is happening, but you are right now who you are. You're not your past. So
Yeah.
let's focus on today, and then let's get you a little bit better for the future.
E-
So yeah,
exactly.
amazing,
Thank you.
amazing,
Yeah. Yeah.
cool. So what does success look like then in your sessions with your clients? So what is a successful outcome?
For me,
Yeah.
as the coach, uh, two things. One, um, through the conversation, I see a shift in terms of opening up a new way of questioning, thinking, exploring, or even just sitting with instead of resistance, right? So a shift, a change, even if it's a crack, right?
Mhm.
Even if it's the way they are using their language. Some people really stick into the negative language they use, and all of a sudden they say, I said, I get to, right? And they recognize it, right? So recognizing is huge. And then the celebrations, like we celebrate little things and
Mhm.
we celebrate in whatever way works best for the person. Some are just very quiet and others are like, did you hear that? Right? So seeing growth, even if they can't actually see it themselves and bringing that forward. And did you just realize what happened there? That to me, that's what it's all about. That's why I do what I do. Yeah,
Nice.
their successes are what I can't live for. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
amazing, right? Yeah, I
That's
can't.
that's
So
what gets you
excited.
out of bed every day. That's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you young. Everything, all of that. It's
Totally.
it's all of that. So yeah, it's kind of like we live like I don't want to say live vicariously through them, but because we're on that journey with them. So seeing them from stage one to all the way. I'm gonna say conception. 'Cause it's kind of
Yeah,
like you're going through that journey and seeing them at the end of the I don't want to say the end of the road because they're continuing, but
totally.
the goals and what they're here to overcome. And
Yeah,
when they overcame them, it's just like, oh,
yeah.
just the best feeling. So amazing.
The other, now you're saying that, the other piece that I absolutely love is the release, right? Like the butterflies, like off you go, you totally got this. My expectation is that I am just a piece of the puzzle to help them keep moving forward. I am not their answer. I am there as part of their journey. We hold hands and we talk about how it can all happen and what pieces, and then I just release, and that is the ultimate. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Completely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
understand that. Yeah, 100% because we're just here again along the journey and it's up to them, take on their own. Now, do you follow up at all? Do you have the follow like a follow-up plan or something?
um it's a great question. I just every once in a while just check in. How
Yeah.
are you? I was thinking of you today. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, check
Yeah.
in, not follow up, but yeah, check in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I just every so often I just, oh, you came across my thoughts, and they do, right? I
Yeah.
That's like, oh, wow, what's going on, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Um so earlier you mentioned that it's when parents like their kids leave home, all of that, they're on their own. How is that? So I guess the question is, it does how are they when they start with you? Are they like, do they get in that depression state? Like how are
Mm.
they in that beginning when their kids leave? Is it like, yay, they're out? Or what do you see mostly?
It's interesting you ask because I am finding a shift happening in this. And because actually, right now is the timing that the moves are happening for the first steps, right? For those moms at home whose children are now in first year uni, college, whatever, or work, right? Placement,
Yeah.
whatever, starting that process of I'm moving out or whatever. So, what I'm finding is that they try to do it on their own for a bit, and then they're like, they can't stop thinking or talking or trying to, are you okay? Right. And since the last few years with the world events that have closed people off, there has been a higher incidence based on the people that I support, incidence of worries, issues, and concerns for their children,
Mhm.
even when they were at home. So that just seems to exasperate the worry and fear because they're no longer within sight. Are they okay mentally, right? Because they struggled through so many things. So it's been complicated and added to. And so I find a lot of moms, no, they're gonna be okay. They're gonna put that super cape on, and I'm gonna do this. This is what I do. I'm the strong, invincible. I'm gonna do it. But then what I'm finding is the systems are breaking down. Like their children are starting to put the blocks up, or they're, stop calling me all the time, mom, or not answering, right?
Right.
And so then it becomes, I've done something wrong, so they want to fix it as the mom. And then it just gets into when really all they want is space and time to start the adulting that they want to pursue, right? They love their parents, but it's just, okay, I'm out of the nest for a reason. I need this as much as you do, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I get moms that come through the door after, like, in the fall, after they've had some time away. Thanksgiving can sometimes be a tricky point. They come home and they're changed. Like, I don't like the changes, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I also have moms who have children who are really old, like 30, 40, and they're wanting to support them. They've moved back home because financially things are a mess. How do I do this? This was never in the plans, but I can't leave a family on the street. So I get all kinds, like a big cross section. Yeah, really big cross section. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, throughout my, well, 20s, never 30s, but 20s, I was like in and out, like, you know, leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back. So I'm sure that my parents were like, "All right,
Yeah.
you're out, like done." It was cute when, it was the first two times, but third time's not a charm here.
Bingo, right? Yep.
Yeah.
How do I get rid
How
of
to
this?
get rid of you. Before I was like, how do I keep you? Now it's like, how do I get rid of you? But I
Exactly.
can see, I can understand, obviously it is, especially for moms, because I kind of, I don't have any kids, but I can only just imagine it's kind of like giving birth, right? And then so it's that same mentality maybe, because you're 9 months in you, and then all of a sudden it's out. It's like, wow, that's something huge. And then obviously you have 18 however many years grow, getting them through life, and troubles, and happiness, and all everything that happens in parenting, and then all of a sudden to cut it,
Yeah. Yeah.
to cut
It's
it
it's
it's and I guess the question that I just thought of is, do parents, I want to say, prep for that? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have you noticed that it's like, okay, in high school, I'm gonna, get some understanding of how to release instead of, hold on. Is that, have you seen that at all?
it's such a great question. I think we believe that we have prepped for it because we're like, this is what I want. I want them to be independent. I want them to be contributors of society. This is what I want. Then when it comes to be a reality, it's like, okay, I've put, like you already said, I've put 18 years of my heart and soul supporting. Emotionally is the biggest, not the only, but one of the biggest, right? And so how, even though this is what was the plan, now it's in front of me, now I'm experiencing it, and I had no clue what that would look like, sound like, and really feel like. I have had so many people reaching out saying, this is the hardest transition as a parent I have ever had to go through, ever. And why are we not doing something better around it? And I'm like, well, I'm over here. I'm trying to, right? Because it is such a huge shift, even though you think you're ready for it.
Yeah.
I can kind of make a parallel by sharing, it's like if there is an experience you're going to have with a loved one who's going to pass because they've been struggling through that, when the event happens, it's still hard to understand. It's still going through all of the understanding and realizing what it is going to be like without them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when we put all of ourselves into that relationship, which is what we do, and we are not to be upset by that because that's a beautiful thing. But what has happened in that process is we've buried ourselves. So now we just get to learn who we are, right? Now we just get to begin a process to become ourselves again, right? And
Yeah.
so it is a big event, but it doesn't have to take you down. It can be a new opportunity for growth
Love
for
it.
both parties,
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
right?
and I love the
Mm-hmm.
analogy, that you gave, because it is, somewhat of a grieving process, right?
Yeah,
It's letting go. It's
exactly.
kind of, obviously it's different because they're still in your life, but it's still that grieving process.
Yeah,
So, um, and what I think needs to happen is we need more coaches like you, just because I hear a lot about how there's divorces happening because of it, because throughout the marriage, it was all about the kids for the
yes.
kid. And then once the kid is out of the house, then it's like, I don't even know you. And, it's a strain. So kind of, obviously you're not a marriage therapist. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but, somebody to kind of guide them into understanding who they are and what their needs are, and then hopefully get that to match with their significant other.
Yeah,
So that's it's a whole tailspin, I'm sure, when all of this happens, and that's the whole reason for these emotions to come up, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's life's transitions.
Yeah.
And we talk about, the new family, the baby. That's a huge transition. It's a huge celebration tradition. But then there's always the after effect that people are doing more sharing around, like post traumatic, right? Right.
Right.
The trauma, not trauma. What am I trying to think of? What's the word?
Post-traumatic
Um,
stress.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
disorder.
Or that,
Is
yeah.
it
Or the,
PTSD or no?
no, I'm thinking of moms who have
Oh,
the emotion.
oh,
What is it? It's not
yeah,
on the
I
tip of
know
my
now.
tongue.
Postpartum?
Postpartum. That's the word.
Yeah.
Postpartum, right? So that is like we don't there's more attention given to it now, thank
Right.
heavens.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Let people know that it's normal to have that concern, that worry, that fear, that sadness, that isolation, but you don't have to sit in that when your children are leaving or transitioning themselves, right?
Yeah.
So they talk about that. The marriage transition, right? As the children leave, okay, who are you? Oh, I don't think I love you anymore, right? Whoa. And there's the retirement transition. There's a
Yeah.
lot of support around that. Is there support around mom role transition? You're still the mom, but your role needs to change. If you're going to keep a positive relationship, a healthy relationship with your children. Yeah,
Yeah. Beautiful. And yes, it's a lot at once, but
it
it's
is.
possible to get through it in a healthier and happier
Oh,
manner. You just,
100%.
obviously we need more of you.
Well,
Did you clone yourself or something? um well, speaking of more of you, how could, this was just a pleasure to speak with you about this, because again, this is such a topic, and I don't hear often enough being talked about often enough. How can we help women, in these years, in these, getting, kids out, or retirement, or all of these transitions? How can we guide them into getting through and getting over the challenges? So again, thank you for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom, and what you do to help women. So where can my audience find you? Where can they reach out to you? All of that good stuff.
perfect. The quickest, easiest way to find me is my name because I am my business. My business is me. You connect with me. That's what you get is me.
Nice.
And so it's DeniseDrinkwalter.com. That's my website. Through my website, you can find out all the different options that are available. If you want to reach out, I give 20-minute discovery calls. So if you're struggling with a particular piece and you're not sure what, we can jump on a call. That's free. Just connect, set your time up through the computer. It's very straightforward. And then we meet up for 20 minutes during the time frame you've requested. And then I have one-on-ones. And I also have a course because this was so important to me. And it's called Cut the Cord, Not the Ties.
Nice. That's a
Right?
great title. Love it. Yeah.
And it's an 8-week program where it's a group program, very small numbers. And there's one actually starting up this fall again. It'll be the 6th or 7th time I've run this particular course.
And how many weeks is it?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay, thank you. You said that.
And it's live coaching, and there's a whole workbook, and we go through foundational pieces that are so key to learning to start the process of building your relationship in a new way at a new level.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Amazing. Yeah. So I'll put all this in the show notes.
Perfect.
So all I have to do is click and they're onto your website and getting all your knowledge. So again, before I say, ask the last question, Denise, I'm such a pleasure to talk with you. Your smile lights up, and it's such a pleasure. So thank you. And the last question that I have is, can you leave us with a quote that you like, or, any words of inspiration?
Absolutely. The one that resonates, and as you've already heard, I love to plant a seed.
Yeah.
So my sharing is this: I would love to have anybody who is listening and everybody who is listening to go out today and do one thing for you, by you, because of you.
That's beautiful. Never heard of that. That's great.
That's one I made up.
Well, that's good. You should trademark that, because
I am actually.
Oh, are you really?
It's landing so well. Yeah,
nice.
I am. So thank you. That's
confirmed. It gave me little chills over here. It was just really beautiful. Really a great way to end this, discussion, this great conversation. So beautiful. Awesome. All right, Denise. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and we'll talk again.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, and thanks again. Take care.
You're welcome. You too.